Hi, welcome to Tabletop Talk and Draw. In case you're new, my name is Storn Cook. This is a video series where I talk about classic player archetypes and how to tweak them, and I draw them at the same time because I believe there's a lot of overlap between drawing characters and making characters. Today, I'm doing one of two winners of the Name That Guy contest. The archetype is not fantasy today. It's going to be superheroes. That's what the genre is. And I'm going to be drawing a super agent, the Mongoose, for Marc LeGuen. I'm hoping I'm saying your name right, Mark. I apologize if I didn't get it right. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So I guess I should start out with relaying what Mark had written to me about his character Mongoose for his design. So her name is Mongoose. She's a mix between Yelena Belova and Black Widow from Marvel and Beatrix Kiddo, the bride from Kill Bill. She's an athletic blonde woman who's a member of Guard, my campaign's version of Shield or Until. She wears a Black Widow style catsuit with really cool boots, a utility belt, twin shoulder holsters, and has a Wolverine style claws implanted. She usually ties her hair back in a ponytail or a braid. The pistols she uses are usually Sig Sauers or Glocks. Sometimes she'll wear a brown bomber leather jacket over the catsuit, and sometimes she uses a katana. If you want to draw her with her claws extracted from one hand and a pistol in the other, that would work. Now, it is interesting because I reread this and I sort of missed something. The Wolverine the Wolverine style claws being implanted. I kind of went, oh, they're in some kind of bracer. So that's where I kind of might have goofed. I didn't realize they were actually implanted in her forearms. I didn't, and this is where if this was a real job and I had an art director, they would nail me on that, and I would have to make that change. Um, so just from an art standpoint of view, I like to work against the ground. I just think it makes things a little bit more easier on the eyes, and also allows me to work in lights and shadows, going in both directions from that sort of warm French gray. Um, you can see that in the corner of the upper right, there is a Sig Sauer pistol. That's the sort of little reference window that Clip Studio gives you, and I decided to make it a Sig Sauer because it is a much more difficult, more detailed pistol to draw than the Glock. The Glock is just a brick on a handle. I mean, it's really one of the simplest guns ever to draw, and I wanted to give myself a challenge. Um, and I decided to go for a little bit of an action scene because I was thinking a little bit about the whole Mid Journey, Sally, Da Vinci, artificial intelligence thing that's going on, and I've experimented around with Mid Journey a little bit, and one of the things I've noticed is that it's not very good at doing action, and I can do action. I can do figures in motion, and so I think I have to start emphasizing that as I move forward. So he said really cool boots. So again, I was going for some reference. You can see the references are sticking back up there in that little window. At this point, I'm starting in on the actual inking, digital inking of the character because I think digital inking is a very indicative thing of superheroes. So let's talk about the super agent as a concept. So generally, these people might have no powers or a couple of powers or equipment or whatever that allows them to stand toe to toe with the supervillains of their setting. They tend to have a little bit more of a militaristic aspect and motif to their clothing, but I still wanted to you know give a nod to the fact that this character Mongoose is living in a superhero world, even though she's using a 9mm or 45 caliber Sig Sauer. I hope those have some good ammo loads in it because it's not going to do much to a lot of the supervillains out there. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think when you're designing something like that, like I was looking at cop uniforms, I was looking at SWAT uniforms before I did this, and some concept art on Pinterest of like futuristic soldiers, right? So I wanted to kind of grab that, and there here comes the webbing and the utility belt and the empty holster that she's drawn from and stuff like that. but in her pants, there's still a little bit of that superhero, and I think that'll become more apparent in the colors. I'm already starting to think about color when I do this. So, in terms of color, like a super agent, I'm thinking, sort of those dark blues that you see on Shield a lot of times, because that sort of is evocative of the thin blue line, police officers and stuff like that. Um, so I know that dark blue is going to be primarily her suit, color. Um, and I'm thinking, like, maybe those patches on the thighs and the knee pads are going to be a light blue, just to give her a little bit of that superhero look. I think there was a character in the Avenger Mockingbird who sort of had a black and white costume, that the black was often done as a dark blue, that this is a little bit indicative of, although she had more of a skin tight. So here are the cool boots going in. I hope that Mark likes these boots. I mean, when he said cool, that's a nice descriptor, but my idea of cool and his idea of cool could be very, very different. I did find this. I actually typed in cool boots into Pinterest and see what I could find. This is one of the advantages of doing like a modern character, different than like a fantasy D&D character, is because we can tap into a lot of the modern resources. We all know what a cell phone looks like, right? We don't have to really get elaborate on that. We all know what sort of modern boots look like. But for me, I need to remind myself of those details. So it's very useful to have some reference kicking around, and have that to work from. So here I'm just starting to have kind of just block in some shadows and stuff like that. I'm kind of dithering around here, trying to figure out where my light source is, and so that is not that is not like color. That is just going to be sitting underneath the color and give the jacket some form, and her uniform some form and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit vague here at the moment, but I'm kind of waiting for the color to go in, and so I'm starting to work on her face and stuff like that. And I want the sort of, I know I'm coming in with the color for the bulletproof, or safety shooting glasses that you see, operators wear and stuff. I've made them sort of a kind of an unusual color of that kind of blue green, because again, I think this is different than like the amber colors or the totally opaque black that you see on the shooting range, because it's a superhero world. I want to keep going back to that. This is a superhero world, and that's a weird color for shooting glasses. It's more like a bully tennis uh, glass. I remember when I was in a tennis shop that they would have glasses in that kind of color, that were designed to emphasize the yellow green of the tennis ball. Um, One of the mistakes I made, just from an art point of view, for the people who are thinking about art, is I did the inks right on top of my sort of rough pencils, and so there is a lot of cleanup I have to do, because there's just all these little flanges from the pencils. Usually if I'm thinking about it, I do it on a separate line. So once the inks are done, I can just click the little icon, the eyeball button, and take away the under layer of the pencils. So this took me a little bit more time than it would take for me to do usually, because I was doing a lot of erasing. The racing goes throughout the entire video, basically. It's sort of a pain in the neck. Yeah, so she's starting to take some shape here, and I'm okay. What color am I going to make the bracers? I think I come back and kind of scumble that out a little bit, because I thought that was a little too dark. Um, come in here and do the sort of the dark green for the webbing and stuff like that. But she's starting to come along. I'm liking the pose. I like the action. I think that's fun. I think, the other thing about super agents is they're not, we need a way of showing them they're not lurking in the corner. They're not doing surveillance from a third story walk up. They're out in the field taking on the bad guys, and so there's that sort of SWAT, um, special tactics kind of vibe going on with them. So, but they also need to be able to take that uniform off, and if they want to go undercover and assume a criminal world identity, they can do that too. So, no blue skin, no tattoos that would you know be remarked upon. You want this person to be able to live in a bunch of worlds, right? um Super agents tend to be highly skilled martial artists, so the clothing can't be too binding. I think, like giving someone a big voluminous duster might not really work. So here's my just last little bits, and I think we're getting pretty close to being done with her. I think. Let me just scroll through my video. Yeah. Yep, this is just I was just lightening up the hair a little bit because I thought it was too dark. She's a blonde. I wanted it to get a little closer to that. And there you have it. Mongoose. If you enjoyed this, please smash that like button. Please smash that subscribe button too. That helps me out a lot. And thank you very much for watching. Please keep on keeping on.